into a world of beauty, fun, and passion. And now, meet the new game changer when it comes to shooting gorgeous stills and fascinating video like never before. Complete with some of the most advanced autofocus technology available today. The EOS 70D from Canon. Hello and congratulations on your new Canon EOS 70D camera. You're about to start capturing the world with the simplicity and the ease you've come to expect from Canon. First, let's get to know you. The Canon EOS 70D is a high-performance digital SLR camera featuring the revolutionary dual-pixel CMOS AF system that unlocks the potential of live view shooting, helping you to achieve amazingly smooth autofocus performance like a camcorder, the compositional freedom afforded by accurate and quick autofocus on the camera's varying-angle touchscreen LCD, and 103 compatible Canon EF lenses for exceptional creative flexibility, including the STM lenses for quiet operation. Advanced built-in Wi-Fi technology so you can upload and share your photos directly from your camera. And you can even use your smartphone to operate the EOS 70D remotely to set aperture, ISO, shutter speed, and even release the show. Because as the world becomes more connected, so is Canon. Download the free EOS remote app on your smartphone or tablet device and enable this function to integrate your new camera with your existing devices. A 20.2 megapixel CMOS APS-C sensor, ISO 100 to 12,800, expandable to H25600 for high performance when shooting from bright to dim light. The Digic 5 Plus image processor that provides exceptional image quality and processing speed. A high-speed continuous shooting mode option with up to 7 frames per second to capture quick action. EOS Full HD Movie Mode with selectable frame rates. A 3-inch vari-angle touchscreen LCD that provides flexible positioning and intuitive operation with approximately 98% of the field view. And a 19-point all-cross-type autofocus system, including a high-precision f2.8 dual cross-type AF center point for accurate focus. The EOS 70D can also help take your creativity to the next level with advanced in-camera features that reduce the amount of time you have to spend editing shots and footage later. You'll see how creative you can get with options like high dynamic range, multiple exposures, handheld night scene, HDR backlight control, and 7 creative filters with real-time preview so you can see what your images will look like before you actually snap the photo. There's also a function called Scene Intelligent Auto Mode for expertly optimized photos and improved scene detection. How great is that? It's really great. So let's delve deep into your new camera and you'll be on your way in no time. As you watch this tutorial, go ahead and take a few test shots so you can get used to all the brand new features and capabilities of this high-performance camera. Let's take a look inside the box at what comes with the EOS 70D. Now make sure you have the camera with a body cap, a battery pack with a protective cover, the charger, a wide camera strap, an interface cable for connecting your camera to your computer, and the instruction manuals and CDs in case you need to reference them in the future. We bet you can't wait to try out the great features on this camera, but first, you have to charge the battery. It's best to fully charge the battery in order to ensure maximum battery life for now and in the future. Begin by removing the battery's protective cover before you charge it. Now, attach the battery securely to the charger. Charging will start immediately. The light on the battery charger will blink as the battery is charging. When the light turns green, the battery is fully charged. It takes approximately 2.5 hours for a battery to fully charge if it has been fully exhausted. Now, let's put the battery into your camera. Slide open the lever for the battery compartment on the camera. Insert the end with the battery contacts. Push the battery into the camera until it locks in place and close the cover until it snaps shut. Now, before you capture those memories, you need something to save those memories to. The EOS 70D is compatible with SD cards, SDHC memory cards, and SDXC memory cards. Before inserting the card, make sure that the card's write protect switch is set upward to enable writing and editing. The SD card slot is located on the camera's right-hand side. Slide out the cover and insert the card with the card's label facing up. Insert it until it clicks in place. Close the cover until you hear it snap shut. Now those pictures are ready to be stored. The EOS 70D is compatible with all Canon EF lenses, so you can shoot in all different styles from macro to panoramic and beyond. But first, you have to attach the lens to the EOS 70D camera body. Align the lens red or white mount index with the camera's mount index of the same color. Turn the lens until it clicks into place. Now slide the lens focus mode switch located on the lens body to AF or autofocus. You can change this to manual focus in the future if you want to customize your shots. Here's a useful tip for maintaining your camera's lens. Always make sure to minimize the amount of dust around your lens by attaching lenses in a place with minimal dust, and make sure to always store the camera with the body cap attached. Next, you want to be able to see things clearly in your viewfinder in order to find an interesting subject to capture. To see a clear picture in your viewfinder, you must first set the camera's diopter. The diopter dial can be found on the top of your camera body, near the viewfinder. Turn it left or right until the focus looks sharp. You may have to remove the eye cup in order to easily turn the knob. An important thing to keep in mind while shooting is to minimize camera shake by holding the camera body as steady as possible. Now that you know all about your camera and accessories, let's get familiar with all the buttons and controls you'll need to utilize in order to operate it. In this section, we'll focus on the shutter button, the mode dial, the main dial, the quick control dial, the multi-controller, the LCD panel, and the LCD monitor. You will need to familiarize yourself with these areas in order to get the most out of your new camera. The shutter button is located on the top right of the EOS 70D. When you press it halfway, the autofocus and automatic exposure system are activated. The shutter speed and aperture will be displayed on the LCD monitor. Press the shutter button down completely to take the picture. The mode dial is on the top left of the camera. We will explore more fun modes later in this tutorial, but in order to move from mode to mode, keep in mind that you have to turn the dial while holding down the lock-release button in the center. The main dial is on the top right of the camera. After you press a button such as autofocus, drive, or ISO, turn this dial to enter the settings as you'd like. You can also use the quick control dial on the right side of the camera near the LCD monitor to change these settings as well. The multi-controller is in the center of the quick control dial. It has arrow keys that tilt when you press down on it. You can also navigate through the camera's features by pressing on these arrows. For example, when you're in the menu function, you can use the multi-controller to navigate up or down, left or right. The camera's LCD panel is on top of the camera. This displays important information about each photo you're taking, such as the shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and more, which we'll address later in this tutorial. Your LCD monitor on the back of the camera is vari-angled, meaning you can swivel it around as needed. It's also touchscreen, so you can use it just like you use your smartphone or tablet by pressing buttons on the screen. And it's bright enough so you can see it in a variety of light conditions. The EOS 70D also offers many options when it comes to framing the perfect shot. You can either use the traditional viewfinder, or you can use the LCD monitor to view your images while shooting. Some photographers prefer the viewfinder, others the LCD monitor. It's really up to you and what you're most comfortable with. Aside from using the LCD monitor instead of the viewfinder, you can also use it to easily view the EOS 70D camera's menu. Just press Menu on the back left side of the camera. Then you can navigate through the menu either by touching the screen or with the arrow keys on the multi-controller. When you've selected the desired setting, press Set. You can exit the menu by pressing Menu again to return to the regular shooting function of the camera. Now that you know where all the buttons and controls are on the EOS 70D, let's put them to good use. Look at your mode dial. Your camera has two zone modes for shooting stills. They are the basic zone mode and the creative zone mode. First, we're going to address the auto features within the basic zone mode. You'll see how you can easily capture photos in the camera's automatic mode, and you'll learn how to play back photos, protect photos, and delete photos. In the basic zone mode, all you have to do is point and shoot. The camera does the rest, all automatically, including focusing, as we just discussed, the scene brightness, the flash, and the ISO also adjust automatically according to the scene. To start shooting, set the mode dial to A for fully automatic shooting, which is also called Scene Intelligent Auto Mode. When your camera is in this mode, the optimum settings for the desired shot are automatically set. In this mode, colors in nature, outdoors, and sunset scenes appear more vivid, so you can really bring your images to life. When you're in fully automatic mode, it's simple to bring your desired shot into focus. Place the subject that you would like to focus on in the center of the autofocus area to make focusing easier. Once you've chosen your subject, press the shutter button halfway. The lens will focus your subject. The autofocus area will be displayed along with the focus confirmation light in the viewfinder. Then, when you see the subject in full focus, push the shutter button down completely to take the picture. Your captured image will be displayed for 2 seconds on the LCD monitor. One thing you should be aware of, when you're shooting in low light, the autofocus area will light up briefly in red and the camera's built-in flash will pop up if the flash is set to auto or on. When you don't need the flash anymore, just push it back down into place. If you would like to disable the automatic flash for any reason, such as when you're in a location where flash photography is prohibited, or if you want to capture a certain scene ambiance, you can do so by simply turning the mode dial to the flash off mode. This mode is a fully automatic shooting mode that does not use flash. But keep in mind, when you're shooting in low lights or when the flash is turned off, this may result in added blur, so you'll want to prevent your camera from shaking by holding it extra steady or by using a tripod. If you're taking a portrait, ask your subject to remain as still as possible, since even the slightest movement can result in blur. Note that in low light conditions, your shutter display will blink on your LCD monitor or viewfinder. This is completely normal. Here's a great trick to learn about getting the best possible shot when your camera's in auto. Position the subject toward the left or the right of the frame so that you capture a good amount of background and perspective. Then, press the shutter button down halfway to focus. Now, move the LCD monitor or viewfinder around to find the perfect composition. As you hold down the shutter button halfway, you're locking the focus. This way, you can keep recomposing your shot while your subject stays in focus. When you're happy with your composition in the viewfinder, press the shutter button down completely to take the shot. So what if you compose a great picture and the subject suddenly starts to move? That's where AI servo autofocus kicks in. You'll know that your camera is in this special mode because you'll hear a soft beep as the subject moves in the viewfinder. And as long as you keep aiming the area autofocus frame on the subject while holding down the shutter button halfway, the AI servo autofocus will automatically take effect to keep the focus on the subject continuously. Just take the picture when you're ready. Now, let's play back your photos to view them and delete the shots you don't need anymore. To play back the image, press the playback button on the back of the camera. The last captured image will appear. You can also easily view multiple images together on one screen by pressing the index display button on the back of your camera. The 4-image index display will appear with the selected image highlighted. You can view up to 9 images on the screen at once by pressing the index button again. Now, let's say you want to look a bit closer into an image to preview something with greater detail. With the EOS 70D, you can magnify a captured image by approximately 1.5 times to 10 times on the LCD monitor. Just push the magnify button during image playback. Hold it down until you're satisfied or until it reaches the maximum magnification. Press the minimize button to reduce magnification or until it reaches the original size. You can also scroll through the image to easily preview different areas of the captured shot, just as you would on a smartphone or tablet computer. Swipe left or right to rotate between images and pinch in and out to magnify or reduce the image size. You can also utilize the quick control feature by pressing the Q button during single image display to lock images, rotate images, resize JPEG images, initiate Wi-Fi for quick uploading, and more. Ever worry about losing a great shot by accidentally deleting the image? Well, you don't have to worry about that any longer. The EOS 70D has a special feature that can prevent you from accidentally deleting your photos from your camera. Here's how to enable it. First, press the menu button on the left side of the back of your camera. The menu will display. Under the first playback tab on the menu screen, select Protect Images. From here, you can either choose to select specific images to protect all images saved in a specific folder, or choose to protect all the images saved on your memory card. To protect one single image at a time, choose Select Images, then press Set. A lock icon will appear at the top of the screen to indicate that the image can't be accidentally erased. To protect more images individually, repeat this process for each one. When you really want to delete a photo, it's easy. You can either erase them one by one or in a batch. Protected images will not be erased during this process. First, play back the image to be erased. Next, press the delete button on the back of the camera and select Erase. Or you can erase multiple images at once by pressing Menu and then Select and Erase Images. Scroll through the images and add a check mark to the images you would like to erase, either with the touch screen or with the quick control dial. Once all your images are selected, press OK twice to delete them or press the delete button on the back of the camera. Other modes in your camera's basic zone include Creative Auto Mode and Special Scene Mode. Now, let's get creative with the Creative Auto Mode. With the Creative Auto Mode, you can blur the background, set a photo's ambiance, change the camera's drive mode, activate the self-timer, and more. To achieve any of these effects, you have to set your camera to Creative Auto by setting the mode dial to CA. Now you're all set to add a little flair to your photos. First, let's talk about ambiance. Create a mood in an instant when you apply a specific ambiance to your images. You can select from vivid, soft, warm, intense, cool, bright, dark, or even monochrome. When you're in the CA shooting mode, switch to Live View Shooting. Live View Shooting is when you use your camera's LCD monitor instead of the viewfinder to compose the shot. This way, you can easily preview the desired ambiance before taking the picture. Previews may not exactly match the final result. To display the live view image on the LCD monitor, press Start, Stop. Press the Q button for the quick control screen. Press the arrow keys to access the ambiance-based shots feature. Use the arrow keys on the multi-controller to select the desired ambiance. Preview it on your LCD monitor, then use the multi-controller again to adjust the effect bar. When you're happy with your preview, press the shutter button completely to take the picture. When you change the shooting mode or when you turn the camera off, the setting will revert back to the standard setting for the desired effect. Now, let's quickly blur and sharpen the background of your photo. Press Q on the Creative Auto screen. You will see Background Blur. Slide your finger over the mark to move the mark to the left or right. Moving it left will blur the background. Moving it right will sharpen the background. The effect you will achieve will depend on the lens on your camera and the shooting conditions. For example, this function can't be set while the built-in flash is raised in the auto or flash modes. If your flash is being used, this setting will be grayed out. The special scene mode on your Canon EOS 70D makes it easy to take perfect shots in every shooting situation by providing intelligent presets with optimized settings. First, turn the mode dial to SCN. Then select a shooting mode within the special scene mode. First press the Q button for the quick controller screen. Use the multi-controller to select a shooting mode icon such as Portrait, Landscape, Close-Up, Sports, Night Portrait, Handheld Night Scene, or HDR Backlight Control. Then press Set in the center of the multi-controller. Then just shoot as you would normally do. So whether you want a gorgeous shot of a cityscape or a mountain range or a vivid portrait or a snapshot of a game and play, the EOS 70D has the setting you need to capture the perfect shot. Another special scene mode is the Handheld Night Scene feature. You can shoot at night while maintaining a natural scene in the background that is visible even under low light conditions. And the special scene mode called HDR Backlight Control lets gain control over shots where there are awkward light and dark areas. When you take one picture in this mode, 3 continuous shots are taken at different exposures. This results in one image with a wide tonal range that has minimized the shadows caused by backlighting. There are many other shooting modes you can use to increase flexibility and allow you to achieve the shots you desire with little effort. Go ahead, explore with your EOS 70D and see what else you discover. Now that we've covered your camera's basic zone, let's move on to your camera's creative zone. In your camera's creative zone, TV, time value, or shutter priority, AE shooting mode, you can set the shutter speed and the camera automatically sets the aperture to give you a standard exposure adjusted for the subject's brightness. A faster shutter speed can freeze action or the motion of a moving subject. A slower shutter speed, on the other hand, can create a blurred effect, showcasing the motion. Now, here's how you can get a great exposure by setting the shutter speed as you wish. First, set the mode dial to TV. Then, turn the main dial to the desired shutter speed. Focus the subject by pressing the shutter button down halfway, check the viewfinder or LCD display, and then shoot. Aperture is the opening in the lens that expands and contracts in order to regulate how much light is able to pass through, determining how light or dark your picture will be. Adjusting your camera's aperture can help you get better control of your photo's depth of field. Depth of field is the range of distance in the photo that appears sharp and in focus. Some photos have deep focus, where the full image is sharp, and others have shallow focus, where the image in the foreground is sharp and the background is blurry. In the EOS 70D's AV aperture value or aperture priority AE shooting mode, you can set the desired aperture and the camera will set the shutter speed automatically. The f-stop is the measurement of how much light comes through the lens. The lower the f-stop, the wider the aperture, which means more light is allowed through the lens. Use a lower aperture or f-stop number to create a blurry background in your photos. Use a higher aperture number, f-stop, to create a sharper foreground and background. So let's start playing with depth of field. First, set the mode dial to AV. Then, turn the main dial to set the desired f-stop. Focus the subject by pressing the shutter button down halfway, check the viewfinder or LCD monitor, and shoot. One thing to note is that aperture opening changes only at the moment when the picture is taken. Otherwise, the aperture remains fully open. Therefore, when you look at the scene through the viewfinder or on the LCD monitor, the depth of field may look narrow. You can press the depth of field preview button to set the lens to the current aperture setting and check the depth of field. ISO is all about your camera's sensitivity to light. The more light your camera is able to capture, the brighter your image will be. Low ISOs are perfect for shooting outdoors in the sun. High ISO numbers can help photos taken in darker environments look brighter. For still images, the Canon EOS 70D has an ISO capability of 100 to 12,800. You can manually set your camera's ISO by pressing the ISO button on the top right of the camera near the LCD panel. Then turn the main dial left or right to set the ISO you want to use for a specific shot. You can set it to auto or choose a specific ISO number when you're in your camera's manual function. Keep in mind that the higher the ISO, the farther your flash range will extend. While you're in one of the creative zones, you can also adjust the focus to your liking, specific for shooting conditions or your subject. When you want to set the autofocus mode, set the lens focus mode switch to autofocus. Then, turn the mode dial to a creative zone mode, such as P, TV, AV, M, or B. Now, press the AF button on the top right of your camera near the LCD panel. Select one shot for still subjects, AI Servo AF for moving subjects, or AI Focus AF, which will switch the focus automatically if a still subject starts moving. Now, the EOS 70D has 19 high-precision cross-type AF points that you can adjust to better optimize your photos. You can select an autofocus area to suit your specific scene or subject to achieve your desired composition. You can select anything from a single point to a specific autofocus zone to cover an entire area. It's your choice. Decide what works best for the look you want to achieve and go for it. While looking at your LCD monitor, press the AF Area Selection Mode button on the top of your camera near the main dial. Keep pressing the AF area to toggle between AF selection modes, such as single point autofocus to select one specific point, or zone autofocus to select autofocus zones. Once you have selected an AF mode, you can toggle between AF points or AF areas to select them by pressing the multi-controller to select AF points. Now, you're all set to focus on your shot and see things the way you want to see them. Another great mode within your camera's creative zone is the bulb shooting mode. This mode allows you to let in more light as long as you hold down the shutter button. It's great for shooting things like the sky at night. Set the mode dial to B for bulb mode. Then set your desired aperture using the quick control dial or main dial and take a picture. The exposure will continue for as long as you completely press down on the shutter button. You can see your elapsed exposure time on the LCD panel. With the manual exposure mode in the creative zone, you can manually pre-program your settings to achieve the shot you desire by turning the mode dial to M. Use the main dial to set your shutter speed. Turn the quick control dial to set the aperture. After programming your settings, focus the subject by pressing the shutter button halfway down. The exposure setting will be displayed in the viewfinder and on the LCD panel. If your exposure level exceeds +3 stops,